You guys wanna talk a little bit about that so we can try to expedite that?
Yeah, we need to decide, how we want that worked, and then we have to have Mark put together a resolution that the board agrees on, and, then we're moving. We have to then send it to the, planning board for their review and the, planning commission. We have to decide whether we want to, marry our zoning regs with comprehensive plan or a comprehensive plan with the zoning regs.
And that's the first decision that needs to be made with this tonight is which direction does this board wanna go? We have two options. They're the same two options that have been in front of us for 6 months. Those options are change our zoning regulations to comply, or to match, comply is probably not the right word, to match the comprehensive plan, or change comprehensive plan to meet our current zoning language. So that's the first thing that we have to decide which way we wanna go.
So, changing the zoning, or, correct me on this, Doug, that would be the, conditional use in the language. If we go under conditional use, that would take it out of our hands and leave it up to the, zoning board of appeals on any decision that would be made, for light industry, since we're talking about light industry. I don't know, how do you guys feel about that?
I think it's more simple than that. If you wanna allow it, I think you just take out the sentence in the zoning reg that says, no manufacturing. Just boop, if you pull that out of zoning, then the two match. You can also, at that time, if you want to allow manufacturing down there, then you can set conditions, of the property at this point. So we can say, yeah, we're gonna allow light manufacturing there. We don't wanna see steel fronts on buildings, so the front of the building has to be dressed, or you have to have X amount of green space, or whatever that the board decides they wanna do, and then Mark would write that into the resolution, and that's what we would present. I think conditional, putting anything in conditional, you continue to have this constant headbutt. Somebody looks at it and says, yeah, that property might work, we would need to get a conditional, ruling on it. I don't like that. I think it should be much more cut and dry. We can go there, here's the conditions that need to be met. That's that simple to me, if that's the direction you wanna go. If not, you're gonna take that very sentence and, add it to the comprehensive plan, no manufacturing.
Well, that was the reason that I brought this up tonight, was to, talk about some of these conditions as far as accepting light, manufacturing, no matter where it may be, and specifically since it's been, on Educational Boulevard, it's been the main topic, and decide what is light industry. According to what we have in the zoning, I believe is noise, dust. There was an incident at,
Waste.
Fillmore, excuse me?
Waste.
Yeah, there's, they wanted to put in a concrete factory, and that would have been light industry. That wouldn't apply to us here, because that would be too much dust. I think, trying to figure out the type of building, the aesthetics, to protect, the residents, to protect the township as a whole, not to let somebody just come in and throw up, some trusses and, a bin like we have where we store salt. It should meet some type of, credible, design. That's gonna be aesthetically appealing to, and not offensive to any, other people that want to, move into that, location.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so that's what I thought we'd talk about, because Rex, one of the things that you're concerned about was the, metal building, how the road at the bottom,
Yeah, I
you
think,
know,
I
how
think
we
we,
can tackle that.
we have to change the designation of that
Mhm.
acreage there from
Mhm.
office professional to, and this is my opinion, office professional light manufacturing. And include, you know, the requirements of light manufacturing. And, you know, we do, you know, this was been a little confusing to me, you know, back when this all started. I think this company could have asked to go in there, provided they asked for a conditional use permit, and there's 8 different things here that would have to be reviewed and met considering that, but having said that, I think it could even be a little simpler. And, you know, and use the language of our conditional use permits, one of them being will be harmonious with and in accordance with the general objectives or with any specific objective as a township comprehensive plan, or in this case, of the zoning regulation. Will be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be harmonious and appropriate with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity, and that the use will not change the essential character of the same area. Will not be hazardous, will not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, and conditions of operation that will be detrimental to any person's property or general welfare for reason of excessive production of traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, or odors. In reading Mark's, opinion, you know, there's a lot of communities that have tried to define light industry, and, it's really difficult, because it's really hard to pinpoint what's considered light industry. And whenever you have vague description of what you would like, that's what attorneys are paid for. They're paid to look at it and just tear it apart and say, that's not what it says. So, you know, my concerns are the aesthetics. It won't cause any concern with the adjoining, residential areas to the north and to the west, and the traffic involved. I think I stated last meeting, concerns of semi-traffic coming up Educational Highway during, school, you know, buses coming in and buses going out. I think that would be a big problem. And, you know, this is something that really doesn't have to involve with our zoning, but, that educational parkway is in bad condition, really bad condition.
Research, you mean?
Research parkway, I'm sorry.
It is.
Yeah, I just drove it the other day.
Yeah, the road's not
I'd be
great.
afraid to take my motorcycle down there.
It's, the sad part of it is trying to get any upgrades done on that road when it's nothing more than a driveway would be difficult. I think if we can get, some stuff going on there, maybe we can put a little pressure to get some assistance.
I already kind of started those conversations with ODOT.
So, yeah, until then, you know, my biggest fear is the fact that the county at some point is gonna throw us the keys to that, say, here's your new car, boys. You know, that's
just it. If it's
that's a
new-
concern.
If it's a new car, that's
That's
one thing, but if it's a used one.
I
with,
didn't say brand new.
with 500,000 miles. I don't
New to
know
you.
what it-
You know, they tried that once and we were, well, you know, there was a period of time, last winter that we were plowing and sawing that road. that it wasn't their responsibility anymore. So there's some other stuff down there that does need checked into. That was, there was a TIF on that. And I've asked for information, on expirations of that. Still not received them, and part of that's my fault. I think we should probably, if we wanna move forward this, the same time, sit down with Julie Green again, go over that, and get all the particulars on what that is. I believe that was 20 years, and somebody told me it was
The
25.
bond was 20 years.
Yeah,
That,
So,
that expired.
they should be
That was paid
expired.
off like 3 years ago, three at least, maybe 4.
and so the question I have is, once those expired, should, Aptiv at that time be paying current market value on their, taxes? There should no longer be any incentives for them when that TIF expired, and I believe that that has expired, and, I've asked for some information, like I said. Julie was really busy, and I asked her at a different meeting about it. We were supposed to get back together again, and, I did not. And at times I've had to call her, she's been busy, she has returned my calls, and I've been busy, so we do have to, I think it would be to our advantage to iron that tip out at this time also. And figure out exactly what we have going on down there. You know, so that's my thoughts on it. I think, as for some of those other, things there, if we want anything different down there, then this would be the time to put it in the regs. You know, so. And
Yeah,
like I said, I personally have been to this facility, it's quiet, it's clean. And I would recommend that both of you go there and check out what they're doing also. I'm sure that she would be more than happy to show you. They could, they was there, they were manufacturing a door over there, and we stood here as a group and had a conversation and talked no louder than I'm speaking now. And it's quiet, it's clean, there was very little waste. Some racking outside, but I think that's a space concern. I don't think that they want the racking out front where it's at. They stated that, so, I would, if you have any concerns about what that operation really is, stop and see him. She will take the time to show you what it is and what it's about. Hey, Jason?
Yes, I had a quick thought just about the zoning piece of it. It sounds like the comprehensive plan is the strategic plan, and then the zoning is just the tactical way to get toward the comprehensive plan. So it seems like the zoning should be changed to be toward the comprehensive plan, since the tactical plan is there to carry out the strategic plan. So that's just the way that I see it, as far as, you know, moving that first piece. It just makes sense to me in that fashion.
My thoughts are that a lot of our zoning is antiquated, it's old, needs updated. Comprehensive plan is much newer. A lot's changed in our township since zoning first came in. And we had, you know, you gotta consider the fact that when a lot of our zoning regulations were written, we had some heavy industry in this township. We had Copperwell, Diversified, which have both left us problems.
Left us with a mess, yeah.
And so, you can certainly understand the concerns with more manufacturing facilities. As they leave contamination, hazards, EPA hazards and things like that. So, I get it, I totally understand the concerns, but it's not 1940 anymore either. Things have changed, EPA is much more stringent now on things like that, chemicals outside storage, a lot of that's changed, and So it's not the same animal as it used to be. But I also, you know, Rex lives in that area, I can understand his concerns also, so it's,
I get like 3 neighbors complaining about the noise from active.
from active.
You know, the generators are exercised once, twice a week at 4 and 5 in the morning. And when those guys, they have huge refuse containers that, they're not real gentle in dropping back down on the asphalt. And it is quite loud. And, you know, to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me that much, but I'm not right up against it. I'm in the neighborhood, but I'm not right up against it.
No, that's the reason I brought up, fellas, was to, talk these things out as far as, designs and like you say, the, shipping containers or holding containers that they currently have out in front of their newest building on the,
The rack.
north side, correct. Those, do you want those, to be in-house, not laying around outside? This isn't just for that place, this is for any future place that decides to move in.
That's correct.
So, it's like building a house, there's always going to be, after the construction of the house, I wish we would've done this, or I wish we would've done that. So when we come up with an application here for light, industry, we're gonna look back, or somebody's gonna look back and say, I don't know what those fellows were thinking at the time when they did it, because we'd have done it this way, a little bit different.
You say that every meeting, don't you?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what those guys were doing back then,
that just goes with the job.
It does.
But no, what I was trying to do was to get a start here on, figuring out what light industry is, so,
Well, here's a definition. Usually includes industrial uses such as manufacturing, assembling, and processing materials that quote unquote are in refined form rather than raw, unprocessed aggregate materials. Light industry does not create unreasonable gas, odor, dust, vibration, or bright light that would be offensive when measured at the property line. Light industry has minimal effect on adjoining property owners and neighbors. Now, I think the easy way to do this is agree that, we need to include light industry in, the, you know, description that we currently have of office and professional with, conditions that we want the, face of the building to match or reasonably match what is there. We don't want just a steel building with a man door. We want something that is aesthetically pleasing to keep the ambiance of that area looking nice. I don't anticipate this particular being an issue with noise. I hope it isn't an issue with traffic. They did say there would be, trucks, hauling this stuff out of there a couple times a day, I believe it was.
I think one thing that goes along with growth is, traffic. No matter how you look at it, if you're gonna grow, you're gonna have traffic. That's just the bottom line, I mean, that's life.
Yep.
You're asking, you know, you're talking about a Mercy Health complex down there that would generate more traffic in the first 20 minutes of the day than this place will generate all day. So, you're right, you know, any development down there is gonna have an impact on traffic, but keep one thing in mind. Go back 4 years ago and envision what Kent State Trumbull's parking lot looked like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday. You could not park a car in that facility. The parking lots were full. Go back 4 years and think about traffic at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, getting off of 82 on the Mahoney. It was backed up into the travel lanes on 82 because so much traffic was coming into that facility, into that campus. That's no longer happening, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's online classes. I don't know. That's not my gig, but what I will tell you is that 4 years ago, there was enough activity at that campus, that it had its own security. When I say security, it had a guy in a car riding around the parking lot protecting the students. There was that much activity. Half of that traffic came in off of Research Parkway. That traffic doesn't exist on Research Parkway now. You have TCTC traffic on Research, some Fairhaven Workshop, active, but that's still, you're not generating the traffic down there at this time that you did 4, 5, 6 years ago when Kent was in its heyday. You know, turning lanes were put in from the bypass that went directly into Kent State, so that was a constant flow. ODOT did that to try to get that traffic off of 82. People were getting hit, if you remember, sitting on 82 trying to get off on 45. But the traffic was backed up clear up on 82. I don't know if anybody else remembers that. Probably my line of work makes me remember, because I was the guy up there cleaning it up when it went bad. It doesn't exist now, so the traffic, number one, this project, this particular company won't generate anywhere near that kind of traffic, but I agree that we're not just talking about this particular project on traffic. There's gonna be an impact on traffic up there, whether it's next week, next month, next year, 10 years. Sooner or later, there's gonna be development through there. You know, you can't, either you don't want any progress, any growth in the township, or you're gonna have to let the growth occur and adjust your traffic patterns as needed. That's number one. Number two, I think, my thought is, in the chair that I'm sitting in, is I'm a township trustee. I think it's up to us to say whether we wanna allow light manufacturing in those areas. And I would once again look back at the zoning boards to write the rest of this on the aesthetics and
No, we
the
already have it.
noise and everything
We
else.
already have it. It's already in there.
Yeah, I see it, but I don't know that that's a trustee thing, is it? I mean, do you wanna,
Well, I think the big thing is we have to
agree,
this board has to agree that we're gonna allow light manufacturing.
and then put the zoning board back in
With-
charge of the rest.
A few of these conditions attached to that light
Okay.
manufacturing designation. It's simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I think that the language, in the comprehensive plan, there's a research and development kind of paragraph in there, it's on page 9.5 of that. And I think that does a pretty good job of, you know, saying what the research, the development zone is for. It says research, training, and light manufacturing, which do not produce high levels of noise, vibration, dust, smoke, or pollution, and do not include outdoor storage. So I think
So that
shifting
language-
that language to the zoning, and then adding whatever caveats after that would probably be the
Makes sense.
That's the way to go.
best way to go about it, without changing this zone completely. Keep it research, but by putting that language in under research, you're probably expediting the process instead of the whole process of changing the actual zoning.
One thing that we have to keep in mind, we're not, with light manufacturing, it's just not that area that we're talking about. This could occur anywhere within the township.
Well, this would just, the language change would only apply to research zoned parcels.
I don't know if you can do that, say that, okay, if you're just gonna do that, then you're putting a noose around where light manufacturing, I mean, you're putting a stranglehold, that it couldn't be down, Folsom Street, back in there, couldn't be back, going down, by Handyman and those areas there, because it could be anywhere.
If that property's already industrial,
What's it?
that property down on Folsom, the end of Folsom and all that down through, that's already industrial. This would only change that zoning, and that's the only place that we have that zoning in this community. Everything else is commercial would stay commercial, industrial would stay industrial, residential, whether it be C or whatever would remain the same. This would only apply on this particular, zoning language.
Cause I'm sure stuff that's already zoned industrial probably has a lot less caveats to what you could build there, there's probably much more.
If you take 46, at one time 46 was all residential.
Mhm.
Now look at 46. It's completely changed down by the mall.
You know,
And that could very easily happen here. I mean, we have spot zoning where we have, commercial properties, residential properties, going all the way up and down, 45. That's really held us back because of the spot zoning that's been there for a long, long time. And, it would be nice if we did have that property right there in front of Kent State, to offer somebody, cause that property just sitting there and not doing a darn thing for us. I mean, it's wonderful to have Kent State there, but, it'd sure be nice to, that's a very nice piece of property. But I'm way off track on that.
Yeah. It's 231 acres there.
right.
Yeah, and it says that there's, 200, was it 251 or 231, Rex?
231
Yeah,
acres.
there's supposed to be
parcels.
seven lots there.
Parcels, yes.
So is the hospital, everything on Educational Highway,
Different.
going south,
I don't
part of
think-
that?
I don't think educational is zoned this way. I think it's just research, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that area that is, that connection from Johnson Plank